I kind of like the idea of a positive only campaign because everything we've heard from the Democrats has been fear mongering about Donald Trump rather than what they're going to do.
No. Oh, you misunderstand.
Oh, what do they mean by positive only campaign?
They mean only negative about Trump. Don't criticize anyone in the Democratic Party. That's what they mean by only positive.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought maybe.
Yeah.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Leftist Losers Show, where we point out all of the losers of the left. And today I got a nice little short clip for you guys from the Young Turks show. Ana Kasparian, man, she's just still out here tearing up the left. Ever since she got called a birthing person and was thoroughly pissed off at the left for calling her that, she's been a lot more open-minded about pushing back whenever the left is doing things that just don't make any sense. And Joe Biden attempting to continue to run doesn't make any sense. And the video from the Young Turks is called Democrats Have a Plan to Salvage 2024. And basically, it's just her ripping apart their plans. I mean, at this point, it doesn't make any sense what they're doing. Like, Joe Biden is obviously a terrible candidate. He's not even mentally there. He's not mentally fit to be in office in general. But I think at this point, they don't know what else to do. And she's about to point that out and tear them apart. And she gets in a pretty nice little argument with Cenk. So I'm going to go ahead and play the video and let you guys enjoy this.
Watch. I'm getting so frustrated by the elites. Now, I'm not talking about you guys, but about the elites in the party who they know so much more. But if any of these guys don't think I should run against me, go ahead, announce for president. Challenge me at the convention.
Well, there are some Democratic operatives who do want to challenge Joe Biden, and they want a swift primary. And so Semaphore is reporting that two well-connected Democrats are proposing.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't know if this is true anymore. So this video from the Young Turks happened right before the events of this last Saturday, which we all know what happened with regards to Donald Trump and somebody doing the pew pew at him. I won't use the words because it pisses YouTube off, so we're not going to do that. But I don't think any of the Democratic candidates or the people that want to step forward, I don't know if they're going to want to anymore. I think that support for Trump is just so bolstered at this point with what happened. I think it'd be almost political suicide at this point. I know the Democrats are desperate for a replacement for Joe Biden, but I honestly think it would be wasted. Like, if they step forward and try to utilize somebody else and they lose because Trump has so much support at this point because he was almost taken off the stage, it might just be wasted. And they generally might just shoot their own campaign in the foot. It'll open them up to scrutiny, and then when the next election year comes around in 2028, they're already going to have been raked over the coals, and it's not going to make any sense. So I don't know. I don't know if they want to present anyone else. I think they might be stuck with Joe Biden at this point because of what happened. But I guess we'll find out.
That Biden step aside and that Democrats announce what they're referring to as a blitz primary ahead of the Democratic National Convention, which is set to take place in August. Now, their ideal plan would involve Taylor Swift and Oprah. So it started off kind of sounding interesting. Certain elements of this I have questions about, but let's get to the nitty gritty. Let's get to the details. So who are the people behind it? Well, one of the individuals is Rosa Brooks. She is a Georgetown law professor and also served in both the Obama administration and the Clinton administration. She was also a volunteer policy advisor to the Biden 2020 campaign. The second individual, big Democratic donor. This is Ted Dintersmith, who's a venture capitalist. Now, here's how their ideal plan would play out. And I think we actually have this system in place already. You just kind of need Biden to step aside and allow for it to happen. But they see it as Biden stepping down, and then as the Democratic nominee by mid-July, and then announce the system of with the backing of Vice President Kamala Harris. So rather than anointing Kamala Harris as Biden's replacement, they want to have like an actual primary process. Potential candidates would have a few days to throw their respective hats in the ring. The Democratic Party would then begin a primary sprint in which the 6 candidates who receive the most votes from delegates pledge to run positive only campaigns. So they're very specific about like running a positive.
Yeah, so this is the thing that frustrates me, right? Is the Democrats are the people who've been screaming about how Trump and Trump supporters are a threat to democracy, right? Even though half the country voted for Trump, it's a threat to democracy to have him exist, and therefore they must remove him from from the election process by any means necessary at this point. And it's so ironic that they want to support democracy, but if people vote for something they don't like, they have to remove it. It's a threat, right? Because what it's really about is it's about their power. And it's seen right here in the hypocrisy of what they want to do. You see all these late night hosts like Jimmy Kimmel and them getting on their shows and saying, you know how amazing it would be? Biden just needs to step aside, and we just need to let the delegates just look at all these candidates and just pick one. And what does that really mean? Well, that means that the actual people of this country don't get a say at all in who the Democratic candidate would be. They've already missed the primaries. It's over. So the only people that get to be involved at this point are the delegates. And who are delegates? Delegates are what would be considered the elites. I mean, they're very important people in politics who, have been selected by whatever means. And basically they want the oligarchs to pick their next candidate. They the Democrats basically don't want anything to do with democracy. What they really want is power. Democracy is just a key word for the Democrats that means power, and that's all that matters. When they say Republicans are a threat to democracy, they're really just saying the Republicans are a threat to our power, and we must do anything we can to stop that. That's what it really means. And it's disgusting that they, convince regular people otherwise, and then do things like this, where now they want the elite, rich, millionaire oligarchs to be the ones to decide who their candidate's going to be, and completely leave regular people out of the question. It's just really sad. It's really sad, but this is what they're going to keep doing. So, we'll just keep pointing and trying to make sure we identify the hypocrisy so we can try to, open the eyes of regular people.
Positive only campaign in the month leading up to the convention. I kind of like the idea of a positive only campaign because everything we've heard from the Democrats has been fear mongering about Donald Trump rather than what they're going to do.
No.
Before Cenk refutes that, it has all been fear-mongering, and I think that's why we got to where we got this last Saturday, and why somebody did the pew-pew against Donald Trump is probably because of all the fear-mongering. And, that guy was 20 years old, which means that when Trump entered the political scene, that kid, and he was a kid when he entered, that guy was 12 years old. He was a kid when Trump entered the political scene. And so for 8 years of his 20-year life, almost half of his life, he heard nothing about how Trump was, the most evil man in the world. And then we wonder why he was willing to do what he did, because he was mentally unstable, most likely, and probably believed all the lies. And so here we are.
No. Oh, you misunderstand.
Oh, what do they mean by positive only campaign?
They mean only negative about Trump. Don't criticize anyone in the Democratic Party. That's what they mean by only positive.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought maybe there were a few people sprinkled in who actually have brains that might and you have to sell something to the American people other than, because look, after everything that's happened recently, I don't know if most Americans buy all of the I don't know if they buy the fear mongering anymore. Do you get what I'm saying?
Of course.
How are you going to argue that Biden is the person standing between the destruction of our democracy, that Trump is such a threat that we're gonna have an 81-year-old with significant cognitive decline running against him? He's not gonna beat Trump, which makes it clear to me, especially with all of the Democratic establishment now backing Biden in continuing in this race, it's clear to me that they don't actually see Trump as a threat.
Yep, and so look, there's a lot to get to here. So first, the reason why they say keep it positive is because there's this fetish in the Democratic Party that you should have unity at all times, unless of course it's a progressive, in which case we crap all over them and endorse their opponents, right? But don't say.
No, the real reason that they want to, supposedly do this positive only, campaigning is because last time they didn't do that, and you had Kamala Harris call Joe Biden one of the most racist men in the country, and use examples from his past, including him saying the N-word while he was in Congress. And then became his VP, and the right has pointed that out many times, and I think the Democrats are attempting to learn from that, most likely. And I think they most definitely, if they didn't before the pew pew moment on Saturday, they most definitely see him as a threat now. And like I said, I really don't think they're going to swap Joe Biden out at this point. Joe Biden might step down. I mean, he might just say, I'm not doing this anymore, because it seems like it's an inevitable Trump landslide at this point, if nothing else changes. But who knows? I mean, genuinely, who knows? They might go for it. They might try to swap him out, but I personally think that might be a really bad idea. I don't think it makes any sense to do that at this point.
Anything negative about any Democrat, again, unless it's Bernie Sanders or progressives, in which case we'll say the meanest, most awful things about them. It's all a trick to make sure that you never criticize establishment Democrats. So that's what they mean by keeping it positive.
Thank you for that clarification, because I totally misunderstood what they meant by that.
Yeah, and then the second part of that is, how are you supposed to run a campaign without saying, hey, these are my attributes and I am better than the other person, that's why I want you to pick me. You have to make the case for yourself and against the other person. That is normal, that's not terrible, it doesn't destroy the party. The party doesn't melt as soon as it happened. Back in 2016, Donald Trump and the Republicans had the messiest, most vicious campaign you've ever seen, talking about penis size and how somebody's dad killed JFK, and other one's wife is ugly, and the third one's a boy, and all of that stuff. And what happened? They won. They won. It's a fiction. 2020, Democrats have the 27 people in a messy primary, they win, right? So it's just not true that you have to be nice during primaries. The main reason that Bernie Sanders lost the 2 primaries he did is because he refused to criticize Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden in a way that could have made a difference. So don't buy that crap. Now, secondly, what they're outlining is a process that mainly already exists. We'll get back to that in a second, okay? Yes. But I do want to mention one other thing. In that clip, Joe Biden said, hey, if you don't like it, run against me, Jack, right? Well, here's a guy who did, so I have experience doing that.
Yeah, and they allowed for a robust primary process, except they didn't.
So here's what happened. So some of it you might already know if you watch the show. Florida just says we're not having an election because we believe in democracy. Joe Biden's our candidate, period. No election, that's the Democratic Party. Okay, I get banned in most of the places, but I'm a unique case, forget me. You go to North Carolina and Tennessee, all 3 of the candidates running against Joe Biden magically have problems getting on the ballot. And that's not the only 3 states. Every place the party's fighting anyone who is not named Joe Biden. And then on top of that, when I'm going to do events at very friendly places like colleges in Vermont, progressive caucuses, Arab American museums, all the events get canceled. Why? Somebody in the Democratic Party calls and goes, if you ever want to work with Democrats again, you will not allow anyone to speak out against Biden.
And this is the sad part about the Democratic Party, right? Is they are extremely captured by an establishment group. They are 100% controlled by the oligarchs. And the Republicans, the rhinos specifically, the establishment Republicans aren't any better. Like you see the Kevin McCarthy's and the Mitch McConnells. They're in the same boat, right? It's the uniparty. And what Cenk's describing here is just, it's what's wrong with America, right? This is the problem that we have these politicians that are completely captured by the oligarchy, and they'll do whatever they say. And the Democrats, if they were a genuine party of trying to make things better, would 1000% drop Joe Biden. But of course, they're trying to do it now that the primaries are long over with, right? There's no opportunity for Americans to actually vote for a Democratic candidate. And so what are they going to do? They're going to have the oligarchy pick that candidate if they were to drop Joe Biden. But Joe Biden doesn't want to drop. The people who support Joe Biden don't want him to drop. And so we're just seeing infighting among the Democrats. And it is what it is. And they made this bed and they need to lie in it. And I personally, for the sake of the country, hope Joe Biden stays in the race. And so that, Trump can just go ahead. And as long as there's nothing too crazy as far as shenanigans go, he can just go ahead and sweep. That'd be amazing. I really do hope that, when we roll around on November 5th, we wake up the next morning and it's an actual red wave. And you know what? For those of you who plan on, or would like that to be the case, make sure you get out there and vote. Do not get complacent. The Democrats always win when Republicans think they're going to win. Look at the red wave that was supposedly coming in 2022. And the reality was Republicans are busy people. There's a reason why, people on the right don't go out and riot and do stupid things most of the time. And that's because people have families and people have lives and things going on. And so when they think it's a shoo-in, they're like, I really, I'm stressed out today and I didn't have time. I'm not going to go vote, right? And we can't be like that anymore. The right really needs to get out there and vote every time. And now that we think things are going our way and, they messed up and tried to pew Trump and we've got all this support behind us, now's the time to yell charge and get everyone to go vote and get out there and make sure that Trump and a lot of the other Republicans who are America first, got to do your research that they're America first and not rhinos. But we need to get out there and vote down ballot, because if Trump gets in, That's going to be awesome, right? But if the Democrats win the House, or keep the Senate or win the House, or both, they could just go ahead and impeach Trump immediately, or just make it to where he can't really get anything of his agenda done, and that's something we also don't want. We want Trump to get in, and we want the House and Senate to be at least somewhat Republican, so that way, or I should say, America first, not even necessarily Republican, just America first, so that way they can start pushing his agenda and start moving us in the right direction. Anyways, I just wanted to play this clip for you guys. It's interesting to see. I know, the Young Turks can be kind of insufferable, especially Cenk when he gets on his rants. But I just thought it was interesting to see their perspective and how they feel about this, and to see Ana Kasparian just call out kind of how silly that they're being, and how stupid this whole situation is. It was interesting. But anyways, guys, go ahead and like and comment, and please subscribe. I would really appreciate that. If you guys want to see more of this content, I will have another video out shortly later today. And yeah, I really appreciate all the help. If you guys want to go ahead and tear me apart in the comments as well, if you don't like my content, that's fine too. I always appreciate the criticism. But anyways, guys, I hope all of you have a fantastic day, and I will talk to you guys later. Peace.